Helen stood frozen in the middle of the grandest bedroom she had ever seen. The chandelier above her sparkled like trapped stars, casting golden light across the high ceiling and marble floors. Silky curtains fluttered gently as the cool blast of AC brushed against her skin, a harsh contrast to the scorching heat of eco she was used to. Her palms began to sweat, her throat tightened. She didn't belong here. A wave of self-doubt hit her like a flood. What am I doing in the house of Nigeria's youngest billionaire? The thought echoed in her mind as she stared at her reflection in the crystal-clear window pane. Just 3 weeks ago, she was dodging Okadas and Danfos as she hawked ajege bread at Ojuelegba. She had sold to many faces, but she never expected that one of those faces, polished, powerful, and dangerously handsome, would pull her into a world she never imagined. Mr. Banks, dark-skinned, sharp-jawed, eyes like a lion in hiding, and wealth unimaginable. He was a man the media worshipped but never understood, the kind of man who smiled like he had nothing to prove, and maybe he didn't, because deep down he controlled more than companies. He controlled people. And here she was, in his bedroom. Overwhelmed by her own presence, Helen turned to leave, heart pounding. But just then a deep voice rolled out like thunder. "Helen, why are you leaving so soon?" She spun and immediately turned her face away. Mr. Banks stood by the bathroom door, a white towel loosely tied around his waist, water glistening on his chest, still dripping down his muscular abs. The scent of expensive cologne and steam followed him. He smirked when he saw her fluster. He liked that. He moved slowly toward her, the floor barely creaking under his feet. Helen could hear her own heartbeat in her ears. "Relax," he whispered, his fingers brushing the back of her neck, trailing down her spine. A shiver surged through her body. She couldn't take it. It was too much, too close, too real. She grabbed her handbag and ran, bolted down the long hallway, heels clicking against marble. Her chest rose and fell with panic. She didn't even care that she was leaving without saying goodbye. Just as she reached the gate of the mansion, breathless and wide-eyed, she heard his voice again, louder this time. "You can run, Helen, but you can't hide. I know you'll come back for this." She looked back briefly. He was standing on the balcony, the morning sun glinting off his skin like he was carved from obsidian. His towel still clung to his waist, but his eyes were locked on her. Helen looked away quickly, fighting a smile that tugged at the corner of her lips. She walked out of the gate like she had just escaped from danger, yet already missing it. The rain tapped gently on the zinc roof of her small room in Bariga. Her light bulb flickered. A tiny Bluetooth speaker played Billie Eilish's latest album. She was curled under her blanket, pillow hugged tightly to her chest. She closed her eyes and imagined him behind her, arms around her waist, his lips close to her ear. She bit her lower lip and smiled, then sighed. She knew she was in trouble. Helen was 23 years old, a soft-spoken, God-fearing young woman raised in the outskirts of Lagos, a place where dreams felt far away, and survival came before anything else. Her father, Pastor Paul, led a small local parish, preaching hope to the hopeless every Sunday under the tin-roofed church by the dusty roadside. Her mother, Mama Elis, sold vegetables in the market, hustling every day just to put food on the table. And her younger brother, Caleb, full of jokes and curiosity, was her greatest cheerleader. Their apartment was cramped, but filled with love. No air conditioners, no luxury furniture, just the sound of prayers in the morning and laughter in the evening. Helen never complained, because even though they had nothing, they had each other. On most mornings, Helen helped her mother tend to the little vegetable garden in the backyard, where they grew ugu, scent leaf, okra, and bitter leaf. She'd come back sweaty, with soil under her nails, but smiling. She had never been to the island before, not even once. The furthest she ever saw of it was when she climbed the small rocky hill behind their house. From there, the skyscrapers of Victoria Island shimmered like a dream across the lagoon. The view made her heart ache. She would sit with her chin resting on her knees, whispering to the wind, "One day, I will walk those streets." Helen was known in the neighborhood as Oyibo, not because she was mixed race, but because of her unusually fair skin, her neat English, and how out of place she looked in the rugged neighborhood. Even with no makeup, she turned heads. Boys would whistle, old men would nod respectfully, women would say to Mama, "This your peakin' fine past people we day island sef." But Helen was humble, always smiling, always kind. Her best friend, Kamsi, was the opposite. Kamsi dressed like she belonged on a red carpet, long Brazilian weaves, 6-inch heels, acrylic nails, and lashes that could sweep the floor. She carried herself with the confidence of someone who had seen things. Pastor Paul didn't like Kamsi. He warned Helen often, "Helen, know the daughter of who you are. We are in this world, but we are not of this world. Don't let her mislead you." And Helen, always respectful, would say, "Papa, you raised me well. I'll never forget who I am. One day, I'll make you proud." Mr. Paul would smile, hug her tightly, and whisper, "I know you will." One sunny Sunday afternoon, after church, Helen cooked a pot of jollof rice with fried plantain and chicken. The aroma filled their tiny home. The family sat to eat, but Helen had something more than food on her mind. "Papa, Mama, I want to talk." Pastor Paul raised a brow, smiling. "This one, you cooked such sweet food today. Are you about to ask for something big?" Helen laughed nervously. "Yes, Papa. I want to help raise money for my university. I've seen how much you and Mama struggle. I can't sit back anymore. I want to start selling bread, buying it from the island and selling on the island streets." Instant silence. Pastor Paul's face changed. His fork dropped. "Absolutely not. That island is full of demons in disguise. Criminals, ritualists, fraudsters. I've seen what happens to innocent girls like you over there." Helen's face fell. She expected this, but still it hurt. She looked at her mother for help. Mama Eli gently wiped her hands and spoke. "My dear, don't you think it's time to let Helen see the world beyond this community? She's 23. She has to go to school in the island soon anyway. Let her start this business. We need the help." There was a long pause. Pastor Paul stared at his daughter, the light in her eyes, the strength in her voice. Finally, he sighed. "Only under one condition. No bad friends, no late nights. You must be home by 6 p.m. No stories." Helen squealed with joy, leapt into her father's arms. "Thank you, Papa. I won't disappoint you. I promise." The next day, Helen woke before dawn. Kamsi helped her get dressed. Jeans, white top, light powder, and a simple twist-out hairstyle. She had borrowed a small tray and filled it with freshly bought loaves. Then she boarded her first danfo to the island. As the bus crossed Third Mainland Bridge, she pressed her face to the window like a child seeing the ocean for the first time. The water stretched forever. The buildings rose like giants. So this is the island. She didn't know that in the days to come, one of those tall buildings would change her life forever. Inside one of them was Mr. Banks, watching the city from his glass office, sipping coffee, and unknowingly waiting for the one girl who could shake his entire world. Before he became Mr. Banks, the most feared billionaire in Nigeria, he was Leonard Banks, a quiet child with a heavy heart. Born into the opulence of the Banks empire, Leonard was the youngest of 3 sons. His father, Chief Emeka Banks, was a ruthless businessman with influence that reached deep into politics, crime, and international trade. His mother, Amarachi Banks, was the beautiful iron woman who co-built the empire with him, feared and respected across continents. The mansion Leonard grew up in was more like a fortress than a home. Tall walls, surveillance cameras, bulletproof glass, and armed guards that looked like soldiers. Despite the endless toys, the luxury cars, and the marble hallways, Leonard's childhood was a prison wrapped in gold. The age gap between him and his older brothers, Akeem and Russia, was so wide it often felt like he had 3 fathers. They were always in meetings with his dad, discussing things behind closed doors while he was left behind. Visitors were never allowed. Parties never held. Friends chased away by scary men in black suits. Leonard was always alone. One rainy afternoon, his mother found him curled up on the edge of his giant bed, sobbing quietly. "Mama?" He whispered through tears. "Why can't I be like the other kids? Why can't I go to birthday parties? Why can't my friends come over?" Mrs. Banks looked at her son, so young, so innocent, and her heart shattered. How could she explain to a 6-year-old that their family had made enemies in powerful places, that some people would rather murder a child than face the wrath of his father? She sat beside him and held him tight. "Leo, you know Papa and I love you, right? The world is wicked, that's why we're careful. But I promise you, your 7th birthday will be different." Leonard's eyes lit up. "Really? Really," she said, brushing his hair back. "You'll have your party, with children, with cake, with music, I promise." For the first time in the family's history, they let their guard down. No bodyguards, no surveillance drones, just family and invited children. They rented out an entire park on the island. Balloons, clowns, face painting, candy machines. It looked like something out of a fairy tale. Leonard laughed like never before. His mother and father watched from afar, smiling proudly as their son played tag with his classmates. And then the gunshots started. Screams, blood, chaos. Within seconds, everything turned to hell. Masked men stormed the park, ruthless, organized, fast. One by one, they killed everyone that bore the name Banks. His brothers, gone. His mother, gone. His father, gone. Little Leonard stood in the middle of it all, frozen in shock, covered in blood that wasn't his. His eyes were wide, and his scream never came. Only he survived. After the funerals, Leonard was taken in by Uncle Jude, his father's younger brother, the only other family they had. Uncle Jude moved into the Banks mansion with his wife Rita and their children, assuming control of the estate. They acted kind at first. They comforted him, told him he was safe, called him our son now. But behind the doors, the whispers grew darker. Late one night, Leonard, now 12, heard everything. "This boy is cursed," Rita spat. "You should have killed him with his parents." "Your brother was a selfish man," Jude replied. "Don't be bothered by little Leonard. He can't go us nothing. His father had all this wealth and never showed me how he got it. Always acting superior. Now it's our turn. He's always screaming every night. We can't have peace in this house again," Rita murmured. Leonard's heart broke. Every night, Leonard was having nightmares about that unfortunate birthday where he lost his entire family. He would scream and cry in his dreams. He would wake up every night crying and blaming himself for his family's demise. If I hadn't asked for that birthday, not knowing. The very people who raised him had killed his family. And now they were milking the fortune while waiting for his 18th birthday, when the will would finally be read. But what they didn't know was that Leonard had heard everything. Leonard stopped crying, he stopped speaking much, and he stopped trusting anyone except one man, Black, the former head of Chief Bank's elite security team and leader of the underground operation known only as the Syndicate. He had sworn to protect Leonard no matter what. When Black discovered what Leonard had overheard, he didn't console him. He trained him. Though Uncle Jude and his family are becoming more powerful themselves, Leonard asked Black to train him so he could avenge his family's death. "If you want justice, boy, don't cry for it. Take it," Black said bum him. And from age 13 to 18, Leonard trained in silence, combat, surveillance, business, money laundering, hacking, torture tactics. He became fluent in power, pain, and fear. He read every line of his father's journals, every secret deal, every political blackmail file. When he turned 18, the bank's will was finally read. "To my beloved son Leonard, I leave everything, the companies, the properties, the networks, the syndicate, the legacy." Uncle Jude and Rita and their 4 grown-up children were shocked, but they were not surprised because they had a game plan. But on that night, the will was read. That was the same day his whole entire family was wiped out on his birthday, and he swore to take revenge on that same day. No police, no drama. Leonard, Black, and the group of thugs attacked Uncle Jude's men, who were caught unaware, and Leonard pulled the trigger that ended Uncle Jude and his entire family. After this, 18 years old, Leonard felt immense pain. He thought avenging his family's death would bring him peace. But that night, he heads straight to Lagos mainland bridge at night, holding a bottle of liquor, and cried his eyes out. He felt so empty. He was not only mourning his family's death, but now mourning his uncle's death. Though they had hurt him, but they were his only surviving family, and now they are gone too. Now 33, Leonard Banks is one of Nigeria's youngest and wealthiest billionaires. He owns companies across tech, oil, media, and pharmaceuticals. But behind the curtain, he controls a darker empire: arms, intelligence, political sabotage, and high-profile disappearances. The world sees a charming bachelor, always dressed in black suits with soft velvet collars, always with a bodyguard or two in the shadows. Women adore him, men fear him, governments respect him, but Leonard Banks trusts no one. A sleek black limousine pulled up in front of Banks Mall, the largest and most luxurious shopping complex in Lagos. The massive golden B emblem glinted at the entrance, as if the sun itself bowed in respect. As the car door opened, a hush fell over the bustling crowd. Security teams subtly formed a path. Mall managers, staff, and executives lined up at the entrance, men old enough to be his father bowing as if royalty had arrived. Some placed their hands on their chests, others simply lowered their heads. And then Leonard Banks stepped out. Dressed in a fitted black kaftan and designer sunglasses, he walked with that quiet, effortless confidence, the kind that doesn't demand attention but commands it. Inside the mall, Loz's elite ladies clutched their shopping bags and gasped in whispers. "Oh my God, see him. That's Mr. Banks, the one who owns this mall and half the city. He controls oil, media, tech, even water supply. Some say he's richer than the government. Chai, if I can just have one night with him, even if he doesn't remember my name after." He doesn't smiles, but so cute they giggled, eyes locked on him like he was a walking fantasy. Leonard didn't flinch. He never reacted. He was used to this, but if only they knew. Beneath that tailored outfit and unreadable face was a soul bleeding in silence. Later that evening, Leonard returned to his mansion, a palace on the hills of Banana Island. 10 bedrooms, a heated pool, private cinema, gym, elevator, underground vault, and art pieces worth millions. Outside, it was paradise. Inside, it was empty. He walked barefoot through the silent marble hallways, his footsteps echoing louder than any sound. No wife, no children, no laughter, just silence. He stood by the massive glass window in his bedroom. Outside, the rain poured, soft, cleansing. A glass of untouched whiskey sat by his side. Leonard placed a hand on the glass and whispered to no one, "All this, and I still feel like nothing." Though he had everything, but he was so scared of having a family, he can't imagine losing them too. That night, like many others, the nightmares returned. He tossed, turned. Sweat rolled down his temples as memories stabbed through his mind. Blood, gunshots, his mother's scream, his brother's falling, the cake, the clowns, and then silence. Leonard shot up from the bed, panting, eyes red. His chest rose and fell rapidly, and before he could catch his breath, the tears came. He got up without thinking, moving like a man possessed, and made his way to the minibar. He poured himself a glass of the finest French cognac. The liquor burned his throat but dulled the ache. The mansion was still dark, still silent. His guards, though elite and loyal, were never allowed inside the private wing. Leonard believed in his own hands, because trust was something he buried years ago. Wearing only a simple white t-shirt, shorts, and bathroom slippers, Mr. Banks walked quietly through the house. His steps were slow, measured, like someone moving through a graveyard of memories. He reached the main gate, where his trusted gateman, Musa, stood surprised. "Oga, you dey go out? Should I call?" Leonard raised one hand, gently. "No, I need air." And Musa? "Yes, sir." "Don't tell anyone I left, not even Black." Musa bowed. "Yes, sir." And just like that, the man who ruled Lagos stepped out alone into the early morning sun, disappearing into the city like a ghost as he walked towards the main bridge. The first light of dawn peeked through the slits of Helen's tiny window as she stretched with a yawn and a big smile on her face. Today felt different, hopeful. She tied her scarf, wore her faded jeans and pink top, and tiptoed into the kitchen to avoid waking her younger brother Caleb. The firewood stove was already lit. Mama Eli was boiling pap. "Mama, I'm off to buy the first batch before Madam Janet sells out." "Go well, my daughter. Be careful, oh," her mother called back. Helen grabbed her container and dashed out. It was her ritual, get the freshest loaves before the sun rises too high. Lagos was already waking up, buzzing with danfo horns and vendors. Dressed simply but glowing like morning dew, Helen walked through the mainland streets hawking, "Fresh bread and butter here. Soft, sweet, fresh bread-o." Men turned their heads. Some followed her with their eyes like they'd seen an angel walk past. "Fine girl like you no suppose day under this sun. Wettin' you day fine for street? Na queen you be." Helen simply smiled, replying politely, "I'm just helping my parents raise money for school." She almost sold all her bread at that very spot before Thielen's. She head off, heart full, arms aching, but determined, until something unusual caught her attention. As she walked near the mainland bridge, she noticed a man, tall, still, and completely silent, staring into the water below. People passed him by, too busy to notice. But not Helen. Her heart thudded. Something felt wrong. She approached him cautiously and asked, "Excuse me, sir, you're not thinking of jumping in, are you?" Mr. Banks, deep in thought, turned slowly, then burst into laughter. Not a chuckle. A full, rich, tear-stained laugh that surprised even him. Helen stared, startled but soon started giggling herself. What did I say that's so funny? You think I look like a man who's given up on life? He replied, still laughing. Well, nobody just stands and stares at water like that unless something is deeply wrong, Helen said. Mister, Banks wiped his eyes, sobering a little. He murmured, if I did that, my parents' deaths would have been for nothing. Sorry? What did you say? Nothing. It's not important. She noticed he had no wallet, no phone, just a plain shirt and slippers. You want bread? Yes, but I have no money. Helen raised a brow. I'll give you for free, but only if you tell me why you were staring at the water like your soul left your body. Mr. Banks smiled. Sharp girl. Okay, fair trade. But in return, you'll tell me why you're out here looking like a princess and selling bread like a prisoner. They both laughed and walked toward a shaded bench by the bridge. They talked and talked. Helen shared about her parents, their little garden, her dreams of attending Lagos State University. She spoke of hope, of her father's faith, of her desire to see more of life. Mr. Banks sat there, quietly mesmerized. This girl had nothing, yet she glowed like someone with everything. Her voice reminded him of his mother. You're something else, he said, his smile warm for the first time in years. Maybe one day you'll let me meet your family. Helen blushed. You don't even know my name. Then tell me. Helen, and you, call me Leo, for now. You have a phone? No. I don't even own one. What? You too? Then how will I reach you again? They both burst out laughing. Back at the mansion, Black, his chief security officer, burst into a panic. Where's the boss? It's past midday. He left early, the gateman confessed, trembling. Slap! You let him walk out alone. What if something happened? Without wasting a second, Black mobilized 3 black convoys, their sirens howling through Lagos as they tracked their missing boss. Meanwhile, Helen and Mr. Banks were still deep in conversation by the side of the bridge, completely unaware. Then it happened. Screech, engines, screaming tires, guns. 3 convoys pulled up in formation. Doors flung open. Armed men in suits surrounded them. Helen froze. Her heart stopped. Jesus, this is it. This is what Papa warned me about. Mr. Banks saw the fear in her eyes and gently took her hand. Don't panic. They work for me. Black rushed forward. Boss, you scared the hell out of us. You shouldn't disappear like this. I'm fine, Black, just breathing for once. Helen stared, speechless. Mr. Banks turned to her, calm and unbothered, and spoke softly. I didn't plan today, Helen, but I'm glad it happened. Here. He gestured at a guard who handed him a sleek card embossed in gold. He wrote something on the back and handed it to her, along with a bundle of crisp cash. That's my direct line. Don't be afraid. I just want to see you again. When you're ready. I don't know what to say. Say nothing. Just think about it. I know you might not feel comfortable that I drop you off since you barely know me. I want you to make that decision when you're ready. He got into the longest, most luxurious car Helen had ever seen. As the convoy drove away, Mr. Banks looked through the side mirror, watching Helen until she vanished from sight. And for the first time in his life, he felt the stirrings of something real.